Eala, she's very dangerous player.
For every champion who lifts a trophy under the bright lights of center court, there are dozens of unforgettable stories that never end with a title. Sometimes, the most powerful moment of a tournament comes after the final point has already been played. It comes when the noise begins to fade, when the scoreboard stops changing, when an athlete finally allows months, sometimes years, of pressure, sacrifice, hope, and emotion to surface all at once. For Alex Eala, Wimbledon became exactly that kind of story. She didn't leave London holding the famous Venus rosewater dish. She didn't celebrate a championship victory. Instead, she walked away with something that cannot be measured by silverware: the admiration of millions, the respect of center court, and the belief that her journey toward the very top of women's tennis had only just begun. But reaching that moment required overcoming challenges that very few people ever see. Long before thousands of fans applauded her effort, there were countless mornings spent on practice courts. Long before television cameras followed her every move, there were years filled with difficult decisions, exhausting travel schedules, and heartbreaking defeats that rarely made international headlines. Every professional tennis player understands that success is built in silence long before it is celebrated in public. Alex Eala was no exception. She carried the expectations of an entire nation while trying to establish herself among the world's best players. Every tournament represented another opportunity. Every match offered another lesson. Every setback became another reason to improve. Those experiences shaped the competitor who eventually arrived at Wimbledon determined not simply to participate, but to prove she belonged. Welcome to Stateside Tennis. Today, we're taking a closer look at one of the most emotional stories to emerge from Wimbledon. It's the journey of a young Filipina whose remarkable run captured the imagination of tennis fans around the world, inspired millions back home, and demonstrated that some defeats can leave a deeper impact than many victories. This isn't just the story of a match. It's the story of belief, of resilience, of discovering what is possible when preparation meets opportunity on one of the biggest stages in sports. To understand why the emotions surrounding Alex Eala resonated so strongly, we first need to understand where her journey began. Born in the Philippines, Eala showed exceptional promise from a young age. Her natural talent quickly became evident, but talent alone has never been enough to succeed in professional tennis. The modern game demands technical excellence, physical endurance, emotional discipline, and an unwavering commitment to improvement. Recognizing both the opportunity and the challenge ahead, Eala continued her development at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Spain. There, she trained in an environment built around discipline, resilience, and constant growth. The academy encouraged players to embrace difficult situations rather than avoid them. Every demanding practice session prepared athletes for the moments that matter most. Every challenging opponent became another opportunity to learn. For Eala, those years were invaluable. She gradually transformed from a promising junior into a composed professional capable of competing against experienced opponents. The transition wasn't immediate. Professional tennis rarely rewards impatience. Every breakthrough is earned through persistence. Some weeks brought encouraging victories. Others ended with difficult losses that forced reflection and adjustment. But through every experience, one quality remained constant. She kept moving forward. By the time the Wimbledon season arrived, Eala had already established herself as one of the brightest young talents on the women's tour. Analysts praised her movement around the court. Coaches admired her tactical intelligence. Fans appreciated the calm determination she displayed under pressure. She wasn't the loudest player. She wasn't the most physically imposing. Instead, she relied on intelligent shot selection, relentless defense, and the confidence to compete against higher-ranked opponents without intimidation. Those qualities made her especially dangerous on the biggest stages. Still, Wimbledon presents challenges unlike any other tournament. Grass rewards quick decision-making. Points unfold faster. Small mistakes become costly. The history surrounding the All England club also creates enormous psychological pressure, particularly for younger players experiencing center court for the first time. Many talented competitors require years before feeling comfortable on grass. Eala approached the tournament differently. She embraced the challenge. Rather than worrying about expectations, she concentrated on one point at a time, one game at a time, one match at a time. That mindset gradually transformed her Wimbledon campaign into one of the tournament's most compelling stories. With every victory, confidence grew. With every round, more spectators arrived to watch. Fans who had never seen Alex Eala play before quickly became captivated by her composure, determination, and refusal to surrender difficult points. Soon, the excitement extended beyond the tennis itself. Filipino supporters proudly waved their national flags throughout the grounds. Families traveled significant distances simply to witness history unfold. Neutral fans, initially curious about the growing attention, soon found themselves cheering alongside them. There was something undeniably compelling about watching a young player embrace one of the sport's grandest stages without fear. The atmosphere became increasingly electric. Television commentators began highlighting her remarkable progress. International media recognized her as one of the breakout stories of the tournament. Each passing day brought greater expectations. Yet Eala's focus never appeared to change. She continued approaching every match with quiet confidence and disciplined preparation. What very few people realized, however, was that the emotional test still lay ahead. The deeper she advanced, the greater the pressure became. The opponents grew stronger, the stakes grew higher, and center court was waiting. It would become the stage for one of the most unforgettable afternoons of her young career, not because of the final score alone, but because of what happened after the last point had been played. Sometimes, sport reminds us that true greatness isn't revealed only in moments of victory. Sometimes, it is revealed in the dignity, courage, and resilience shown when dreams are tested at their highest level. For Alex Eala, that moment was rapidly approaching, and neither she nor the thousands of spectators watching from center court could have imagined just how emotional the journey was about to become. The deeper Alex Eala progressed through Wimbledon, the more the atmosphere around her began to change. At first, she was viewed as an exciting young talent with tremendous potential. A few days later, she had become one of the tournament's biggest stories. By the second week, people who had never followed her career were rearranging their schedules just to watch her play. That kind of attention is almost impossible to manufacture. It has to be earned. And Eala was earning it with every match. She wasn't simply winning points. She was demonstrating the qualities that tennis fans admire most: discipline, courage, composure, and an unwavering willingness to compete until the very last ball. Her style wasn't built around overwhelming power. Instead, she relied on intelligent movement, precise timing, and the ability to stay calm when the pressure reached its highest point. Against experienced opponents, she refused to be intimidated. Against difficult moments, she refused to panic. Every challenge became another opportunity to prove she belonged on one of the sport's biggest stages. As her run continued, the excitement surrounding her spread far beyond center court. Back home in the Philippines, millions of fans stayed awake through the night to follow every match. Sports bars opened early. Families gathered around televisions. Social media exploded with messages of encouragement after every victory. Children carrying tennis rackets suddenly had a new sporting hero. For many young athletes, Alex Eala represented something larger than tennis. She represented possibility. The possibility that someone from the Philippines could compete confidently against the world's best players on one of the most prestigious stages in sports. That belief inspired an entire nation. Inside the All England club, journalists also noticed something unusual. Whenever Eala's name appeared on the schedule, spectator interest increased. Fans lined up outside the courts hoping to secure seats. Some stood several rows deep just to catch a glimpse of her matches. Others followed her practice sessions, eager to watch how she prepared before stepping onto the grass. The attention wasn't driven by celebrity. It wasn't driven by controversy. It was driven by authentic admiration for a young player who competed with maturity well beyond her years. Every performance strengthened that reputation. She celebrated important points with controlled emotion. She respected every opponent. She accepted difficult moments without frustration. Even experienced commentators remarked on how composed she remained under enormous pressure. That emotional discipline became one of her greatest strengths. Yet Wimbledon has a way of testing every player. No matter how impressive the run, each new round presents an even greater challenge. Eventually, Eala found herself standing across the net from one of the tournament's most accomplished competitors, Jasmine Paolini. The Italian had already established herself among the elite of women's tennis. Her movement, consistency, and experience on the biggest stages made her one of the most difficult opponents remaining in the draw. This would be Eala's biggest examination yet. The atmosphere before the match felt different from anything she had experienced. Center court was full. Television audiences around the world were watching. The expectations surrounding her had reached an entirely new level. For the first time in the tournament, many people genuinely believed she might continue making history. But Grand Slam tennis has never been won through expectation alone. Every point must still be earned. Every rally must still be fought. From the opening games, the quality of the contest was evident. Paolini used her experience to pressure Eala's serve and create difficult angles from the baseline. Eala answered with relentless defense, intelligent shot selection, and remarkable composure. Neither player gave away easy points. The rallies became longer, The intensity increased with every game. Center court responded accordingly. Every spectacular exchange earned loud applause. Every momentum shift drew audible reactions from the crowd. It was exactly the kind of match that reminds fans why Wimbledon remains one of the sport's greatest stages. Although Paolini captured the opening set, Eala refused to let disappointment define the afternoon. She returned to the court with renewed determination. Instead of forcing risky shots, she trusted the patient style of tennis that had carried her this far. That decision changed the rhythm of the match. Her movement became even sharper. Her returns placed increasing pressure on Paolini's service games. Point by point, she fought her way back into the contest. The crowd sensed the momentum shifting. With every successful rally, the cheers grew louder. When Eala leveled the match by winning the second set, center court erupted. Thousands of spectators recognized they were witnessing a young player refusing to surrender on one of the biggest stages in the sport. The match would now be decided by a final set. Everything both players had worked toward throughout the afternoon came down to one last stretch of tennis. Every serve mattered. Every return carried enormous significance. Every mistake became increasingly costly. The tension inside the stadium was impossible to ignore. Both competitors continued producing remarkable tennis. Paolini relied on her experience. Eala relied on her courage and resilience. The rallies became physically demanding. The pressure became relentless. For long periods, there was almost nothing separating the two players. It was the kind of battle that defines Grand Slam competition, and it was steadily building toward one of the most emotional conclusions of the tournament. Neither player knew exactly how the afternoon would end, but everyone watching understood one thing. Regardless of the final score, Alex Eala had already earned the admiration of center court. The only question remaining was how this unforgettable journey would reach its final chapter. The deciding set carried the unmistakable tension that only Grand Slam tennis can produce. Every point suddenly felt heavier. Every service game became a battle of nerves as much as skill. Alex Eala had fought her way back into the contest by leveling the match, but everyone inside center court understood that the final set would demand even more. Physically, mentally, and emotionally. Jasmine Paolini had been in these moments before. Her experience allowed her to stay composed even as the momentum shifted. She understood when to increase the pace of the rally, when to defend patiently, and when to attack without hesitation. Those decisions often separate experienced contenders from rising stars. Eala, however, never stopped believing. She chased every drop shot. She stretched for every passing shot. She continued competing with the same fearless determination that had carried her through the tournament. Every point she won was celebrated by a crowd that had completely embraced her remarkable journey. The applause after each rally grew louder. Neutral spectators who had arrived simply hoping to watch quality tennis now found themselves emotionally invested in the young Filipina's story. That is one of the unique qualities of Wimbledon. The crowd recognizes courage. It appreciates resilience. And it rewards players who compete with complete commitment regardless of the score. As the final set progressed, Paolini gradually began to seize control. Her first serve became increasingly reliable. She dictated more rallies from the baseline and forced Eala to defend from difficult positions. When opportunities appeared, the Italian capitalized on them with the confidence of a player who had already experienced the pressure of major championship matches. Eala responded the only way she knew how. She kept fighting. She refused to rush. She continued searching for openings even as the scoreboard became increasingly difficult to overcome. Every changeover offered a brief opportunity to regroup. Every game represented another chance to shift momentum. But Grand Slam tennis often comes down to only a handful of moments. A single missed return, a perfectly placed serve, a courageous winner struck under enormous pressure. Those small margins eventually favored Paolini. After more than 2 hours of outstanding tennis, the final point arrived. Paolini secured the deciding set and advanced to the quarterfinals. For a brief moment, center court became almost silent. Not because the spectators were disappointed with what they had witnessed. Quite the opposite. They were taking in the significance of the moment. Alex Eala's Wimbledon journey had come to an end. But something much bigger had happened during those remarkable 2 weeks. She had introduced herself to millions of tennis fans around the world. As the players met at the net, they shared a respectful handshake. It was a reminder that tennis is built not only on fierce competition but also on mutual respect between athletes who understand the sacrifices required to reach this level. Eala acknowledged her opponent with grace. Paolini recognized the extraordinary effort the young Filipina had produced throughout the match. Then came the walk that many fans would remember long after the tournament ended. As Eala gathered her equipment and prepared to leave center court, the spectators rose to their feet. The applause spread across the stadium. It wasn't a brief courtesy reserved for the conclusion of a match. It became a sustained standing ovation. Thousands of people celebrated not just the performance they had witnessed that afternoon, but the entire journey that had brought Eala to one of tennis's most iconic stages. She paused for a moment and looked around the stadium. The emotion of the occasion was impossible to ignore. Weeks of preparation, years of sacrifice, a lifetime of dreaming about competing on courts like this. All of it had led to this unforgettable moment. Although disappointment naturally accompanied the defeat, another feeling was equally present. Gratitude. Gratitude for the opportunity. Gratitude for the support she had received throughout the tournament. And gratitude for the realization that she had proven she belonged among the world's best. For many young players, a Grand Slam breakthrough becomes the foundation for everything that follows. It provides confidence that cannot be gained in practice. It proves that the gap between ambition and achievement is smaller than it once appeared. Alex Eala left center court without the Wimbledon trophy, but she left with something every great athlete values: belief. Belief from her coaches, belief from her supporters, belief from fellow professionals, and perhaps most importantly, belief in herself. The headlines the following day reflected more than just the result. Writers praised her composure. Analysts highlighted her tactical maturity. Former players pointed to her resilience against one of the tour's most accomplished competitors. Across social media, fans from around the world congratulated her on an unforgettable tournament. Many described her run as one of the defining stories of Wimbledon. The scoreline would eventually become part of the record books. The standing ovation would become part of the memory, and memories often last much longer than statistics. Because every so often, sport produces a performance that reminds us greatness isn't measured solely by championships. Sometimes, greatness begins with earning the respect of an entire stadium. For Alex Eala, center court had delivered exactly that. The final walk-off center court marked the end of Alex Eala's Wimbledon campaign, but it felt much more like the beginning of a new chapter than the closing of one. Professional tennis has a unique way of revealing character. Victories showcase talent. Defeats often reveal resilience. Throughout her Wimbledon journey, Eala displayed both. She arrived in London as one of the sport's brightest young prospects. She left having convinced millions of fans that she possessed the qualities needed to compete with the very best. Rankings would eventually change. Future tournaments would bring new opportunities, but the confidence gained from performing on center court against elite competition could never be taken away. For years, Eala had worked toward moments exactly like these. The early mornings on practice courts, the endless travel across continents, the physical demands of the professional tour, the difficult defeats that tested her confidence, the victories that slowly built belief. Every experience became another step towards standing on one of tennis's biggest stages. That is why her Wimbledon run resonated with so many people. It wasn't simply about one tournament. It was about the journey behind it. Young athletes watching from the Philippines saw more than impressive tennis. They saw someone who had dared to dream beyond traditional boundaries. Someone who proved that dedication, patience, and relentless work can create opportunities that once seemed impossible. Inspiration is one of the greatest gifts sport can offer. Championships are celebrated, records are remembered, but inspiring the next generation may be an even more meaningful achievement. Alex Eala accomplished exactly that. Across the tennis world, analysts also began looking beyond the immediate result. They spoke about her improved movement on grass, her tactical discipline under pressure, her ability to extend rallies against experienced opponents. Perhaps most importantly, they praised her emotional maturity. Many young players allow the magnitude of Grand Slam competition to overwhelm them. Eala embraced it. She trusted her preparation. She trusted her game. She trusted herself. Those qualities cannot be taught overnight. They are developed through years of competition and countless hours of disciplined work. Of course, the road ahead remains challenging. Women's tennis continues to evolve, with extraordinary depth throughout the rankings. Every tournament introduces new opponents, different playing conditions, and fresh tactical puzzles to solve. There will be setbacks. There will be difficult losses. There will be moments when progress feels slower than expected. That is the reality every champion eventually faces. But the difference between good players and great ones is rarely perfection. It is the willingness to keep improving after disappointment. Judging by everything Eala demonstrated throughout Wimbledon, that determination is already part of who she is. Perhaps that is why the center court crowd responded with such warmth. They recognized something beyond the score. They recognized courage. They recognized persistence. They recognized a competitor who never stopped believing, even when facing one of the toughest challenges of her career. Those are the qualities that earn lasting respect in tennis. Long after tournament brackets are forgotten, fans remember athletes who gave everything they had. That is exactly what Eala did. As the season continues, new opportunities will arrive. There will be more Grand Slams, more center courts, more chances to compete against the world's best players. Each tournament will bring another opportunity to build on the foundation created during this remarkable Wimbledon campaign. The expectations surrounding Alex Eala will undoubtedly be higher. Opponents will prepare more carefully. The spotlight will grow brighter. But with greater expectations also come greater opportunities. The tennis world now knows her name. More importantly, it knows the quality of her game and the determination behind it. For supporters in the Philippines, this Wimbledon run became more than a sporting achievement. It became a national moment of pride. Millions followed every point. Children picked up tennis rackets with renewed enthusiasm. Young athletes discovered that dreams once considered distant could become achievable through commitment and perseverance. That may become one of the most enduring legacies of this tournament. Because while only one player leaves Wimbledon with the championship trophy, many others leave having changed the future of the sport in different ways. Alex Eala may not have lifted the trophy this time, but she left with something equally valuable: the respect of fellow players, the admiration of fans around the world, the confidence that she belongs on tennis's biggest stages, and the belief that her greatest achievements may still lie ahead. One emotional afternoon on center court did not define her career. It introduced the world to the next chapter of it. If you enjoyed this documentary, thank you for spending your time with Stateside Tennis. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What impressed you most about Alex Eala's Wimbledon journey? And how far do you think she can go in the years ahead? If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and join us again for more in-depth tennis documentaries that bring you closer to the biggest moments in the sport.